How old were you when you first started singing?
I started singing as a very young little girl. I entered my first talent contest when I was 3, and then I went on to do more talent shows and a local television show in my hometown of Atlanta, Georgia. And then I was discovered when I was 10 years old in Augusta, Georgia, where my family lived, by the late, great Mr. Red Foley, who was my mentor and who had a network television show out of Springfield, Missouri called the Ozark Jubilee. And I was a guest on that show, and from that show I signed my recording contract. I went on to do all the variety shows like Ed Sullivan and Steve Allen, Perry Como, Tennessee Ernie Ford, Red Skelton, Bob Hope, Lucille Ball, Danny Thomas, you name them, and I did them. And so Mr. Foley was very instrumental in my career.
And so who'd you say were some of your earliest influences, other than Red Foley, I guess?
Well, you know, when I was little, we didn't have a record player or TV or anything like that, but my mom used to sing me songs, and later on when I got some age on me and learned who those songs were by, I became a big fan of Hank Williams because my mom apparently was a big fan of his and used to sing me his songs. So my very first record was a composition by Mr. Hank called Jambalaya.
And wasn't it true that the first song you learned, though, was an Eddie Arnold tune? My Daddy Is Only a Picture?
Well, yeah, that's one of the first ones I learned. My Daddy Is Only a Picture. I learned Slowpoke and Take Me Out to the Ball Game. Those were some of the first ones that I did.
And before Red discovered you had appeared quite frequently on local television and radio and different shows like that, correct?
Oh, I had been touring all over Georgia, and I was on a local television show out of Atlanta on WPEA called John Farm and the TV Ranch Boys, and that gave me a lot of exposure in the state of Georgia, and I was able to work with that band, and we played high school gymnasiums and auditoriums and VFWs and anything that we could play. And then I toured for a while with a gospel group called the Master Workers Quartet, and we used to go around and sing at churches and what have you. So I had a wonderful time singing with different folks.
And it was while you were on the TV program in Augusta, Georgia, the Peach Blossom Special. Wasn't that when the name Brenda Lee was created?
That's exactly right. Sammy Barton, who was connected with that show, thought that my name Tarpley might be a little hard for people to remember, so he suggested the name change to take Lee off of the end of Tarpley, and that's how I got the Brenda Lee.
So when in 1956, when Red Foley came to Augusta and to put on a show, you had went to that show just to watch it, correct? Or had you?
Well, a DJ friend of mine, Peanuts Faircloth, we used to have a radio show out of the Brenda Lee record shop in Augusta. And anytime an artist would come through town, Peanuts would always take me and just literally beg them to listen to me sing or let me sing a song on the show. And Mr. Foley was kind enough to let a little hometown girl sing a song on the show. And when he heard me sing, he liked what he heard, and that's when he invited me to come to Springfield, Missouri to do his network television show.
And you ended up becoming a regular on the Ozark Jubilee.
I did, as a matter of fact.
And as you mentioned earlier, you appeared on many television shows following that, and that also really led to your first recording contract, didn't it?
It did. I signed with Decca Records and had several records out that made a little bit of noise, not very much, and finally in 1959 I had a song called Sweet Nothings that made the top 10, and then in 1960 I had a song called I'm Sorry, which was my very first #1 record. Also in 1958 I cut a song called Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree, which really didn't do anything until I'm Sorry came out, and then it really took off, and right now, it is the number 4 Christmas song in the top 10 Christmas songs of all time.
And we'll hear that in a few minutes. Of course, we heard I'm Sorry and just a few minutes ago, along with Jingle Bell Rock, which was another Christmas song that you've been known for and one of the great standards. And Owen Bradley was your producer for most of your career, correct?
Absolutely. Owen was my dear friend, my professionally as well as personally, and just meant so much to me in my career. I don't know that, whatever the Brenda Lee sound is, Owen was a huge part of that.
And, of course, you went on to have many more hit records, Fool Number One, Losing You, Nobody Wins, Big Four Poster Bed. Out of all your songs, is there one particular one that is maybe your favorite out of all of them?
No, that's kind of like asking somebody to choose a favorite child. You just can't do it. They all mean different things to me, and I love them all for different reasons.
And they're all fabulous songs. And
well, thank you.
Well, you're very welcome. And when you recorded Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree, did you have any idea that someday that song would be so special or would become so special?
Well, I knew the song was a good song, and I loved singing it. It's awfully hard to get a Christmas standard. It's almost impossible with a new song. So for that song to have done as well as it's done has just been such a blessing, and it celebrated its 50th birthday this year.
And congratulations on that, too. How did you come to record the song?
It was sent to me by the writer, Johnny Marks. Johnny also wrote Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and Holly Jolly Christmas, and was quite a prolific Christmas writer. So I was lucky to get Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree.